All right, it says that we are streaming live on Facebook now, you all.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and get started as people start to come in. I'm going to share this on my timeline as a watch party. Give me just a moment to do that. Give us just as much exposure as we possibly can. It's not showing me. Okay, here we are. We're live. We are live. We have some people, they're starting to come in. So this is great. For my people just turning in, welcome to Becoming the Beans session called Men Don't Cry. We are going to get started here. I'm just setting myself up so I can see you all's comments and questions if you have any. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. All right. Turning in. Welcome to Becoming the Beans session called Men Don't Cry. We are going to get started here. I don't know why I'm getting a double echo. I can see you all. Sorry about that. All right, sorry about that, y'all. Here we go. We're gonna go ahead and get started here. So I do want to welcome you all today to Men Don't Cry. Becoming a Bean is happy to host this awesome panel of men to discuss mental health. And so I'm so excited to have them here. So as you're joining, I want to thank you for your support of Becoming a Bean. We launched about a little over a month ago, and we already have over 100 subscribers here on Facebook. And so we thank you. We thank you for that, for helping us grow and continuing to go to the next level. For those of you who are not familiar with Becoming a Bean's mission and vision, we are committed to helping hurt people, which means we help everyone. Everyone has been, whether you're hurting now or you have heard it, we're here to help people overcome their pain in their past offenses so that they can be who God created them to be, and they can walk in their purpose and live life abundantly, whatever and however they define, you defined abundantly for yourself. And so our vision is to see people living in their being of unbothered. Unbothered is a state of being in which those things that have kept you mentally and emotionally captive no longer have you bound, and you are free, right? And empowered at a level at which you're able to push through and pass those obstacles and any obstacles to come so you can pursue your destiny here on earth. And so the only way for us to break mental and emotional chains is to talk about the chains, identify the chains, understand how they're formed so we can break them in a way that they can never be linked again. And so we have to start changing our stories, and it starts here, right now, with calling it out. And so I'm not going to prolong this thing. Thank you for being patient with us. We had a little bit of technical difficulties getting started, but we're ready to get this thing started tonight. And so I want to start. We're going to talk about men's mental health, and I want to start by introducing my panelists. Y'all, these men are awesome. They are awesome. I love each and every one of them. They're not afraid to talk about it. They care about it, and they're not intimidated by women opening it up and helping to start the discussion. So they represent your sons, your brothers, your uncles, your husbands, your fathers, your co-workers, friends everywhere. They all come from very diverse backgrounds, which will make this discussion, I think, fabulous. And so we're going to get started. I'm just going to go in the order that you see them on the screen. We first started with Gary Davis. Gary Davis is a husband of 28 years to Melissa Davis. They have 2 sons, Benjamin and Jason. Gary attended Youngstown State University, where he earned a BSAS in criminal justice and a minor in social work. He served in our Army Reserves National Guard as a military police officer for 12 years and has been working in the field of chemical dependency counseling and treatment for 25 years, where he has specifically helped male clients in the Northeast Ohio Community Alternative Program of an alternate correction, which is an alternate correctional facility. So welcome, Gary, to the panel.
Oh, thank you.
Gary.
We have Ishmael Jackson well, on my screen to my right, probably you all's left, I'm not sure. Ishmael has been married to Regina for 16 years. He has 1 son who can learn a lot from Ish. He's very accomplished and a busy man. Ishmael has a business degree from Urbana University. He's a licensed barber, has a boiler engineer certificate. He's a home certified inspector and has a building maintenance and property management certificate. He is an entrepreneur who believes in being able to build more than 1 stream of income. So believe me when I say he's a busy man. He currently owns and runs 2 different construction companies. One's called Alpha and Omega. It's a $14 million company. And then he has Jackson Builders, which specializes in both commercial and residential construction. He's also a real estate investor, owning apartment buildings and beauty and barbershop. So welcome, Ishmael. Thank you for joining our panel.
The correction, I used to own Alpha and Omega.
Thank you. And so we have Charlie Mills. Charlie, he's unmarried, but does have a great woman by his side, supporting him and being the great man that he is. So don't be sliding in his DMs, all right? I don't want you getting him in trouble. Shout out to Shannon, hey girl. Charlie is a father of 4, and when he is not busy being a devoted, committed companion, father, son, and friend, he's busy putting out fires. And I mean, literally putting out fires and saving lives. Charlie has been a Cincinnati firefighter for almost 31 years. So welcome, Charlie, and thank you for joining.
Excellent.
Oh, and then we have Michael Montgomery. Mike, he is no stranger to this. He's an independent licensed marriage and family therapist who's the current owner of Empowering Counseling Services of Akron and Youngstown, Ohio. Mike has over 15 years in the mental health field and specializes in depression, anxiety, bipolar, trauma, grief, and other mental disorders. He received his BA from Metropolitan State University of Minnesota and a master's degree in marriage and family therapy from St. Mary's University. When he's not counseling, Michael is using his expertise and experience conducting psychosocial depression, anxiety, and couples training. So welcome, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Angelina. Happy to be here.
And then we have Doug Watkins, who's showing as Galaxy S8.
What's up, Dougie?
What's going on?
If you can't tell by the last name, that's my boo. Ooh. Doug is my husband of 2.5 years, and the blending of our families has given us 3 children, 1 son who is currently serving in the United States Navy. And then we have 2 daughters who think they grown. And so Doug is a licensed financial services consultant and novice investor. He has worked in financial services for over 20 years and has been a benefit specialist on the health side of the insurance industry for 5 years. And then last but not least, drum roll please, we have Cephas Pearson. Hey, Cephas. Cephas, he is married to Joanna and didn't tell her that he had a call tonight. She threw him a surprise birthday party. So happy birthday, Cephas. Thank you for still honoring your commitment
absolutely
to this panel. We appreciate that. He's been Married to Joanna. They just actually celebrated an anniversary last month. How many years has it been?
24.
24
Ooh.
years, y'all. He looks young, but he's not young. All right. He's
Nah.
a
Don't slide my DM.
Don't slide in his feet. He's got 3 handsome, strong men. They are single ladies. So
Don't slide their DM either unless you in trouble.
but there will be some screening, okay? They may be single, let me know, but they is
Yeah.
some screening. Cephas is a realtor. He's a real estate investor.
Who's at the spot?
Landlord, and this is not just a hobby. We're talking established, successful real estate investor who's in the top 5% of realtors in the state of Ohio. And so when he's not working so hard, he's making everybody laugh and smile with his wit. So we appreciate you. Thank you, Cephas.
I did go to college too, Bina. You mentioned all my the Ohio State.
Sorry about that, Cephas. You all, he went to college too. I'm sorry. Make up his bio because we friends, and so he just figured out
College,
to know what to say
No.
about him.
you got the right stuff.
All right. So thank you all. We're going to go ahead and get this conversation started, and just want to talk just a little bit about what we're going to talk about tonight here. They say men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and I've never read the book, okay? But it was written to help men and women understand their differences in communications, needs, wants, and behaviors. But one thing I learned to be true is that men and women are not different in how we feel. Men are stereotyped to be emotionless. Why? Because as a vast majority of them are guarded, emotionally unavailable, but guess what? What seems to be true is not what it is. To guard your feelings or not allowing yourself to be vulnerable is a behavior of not displaying how you feel, but it doesn't mean that you don't feel. And what I learned in working with men on their being is that they truly do have feelings. They truly do have different emotions happening inside of them, but the way they display those emotions is different from a woman. And that's it. We are still human. We all have the capacity to feel. It is human nature to feel, but it is the behavior displayed that makes the woman think her father, brother, boyfriend, or husband is from Mars. And so just want to talk about, get our conversation started with that just a little bit. Guarded is to protect your feelings, to not allow someone into your emotional comfort zone. You restrain from being vulnerable. And then emotionally unavailable means to refrain from emotional bonds in relationships. And so I'm going to direct this first question to Gary. Is being guarded and emotionally unavailable a natural male tendency, or is this a learned behavior?
I think most of the time it's learned. You have a chance to see some things and pick up some things on who you grew up around or what you've been taught. You guard some things, true enough, but you will pick up some things that you see, as well as from when you open yourself up. If you get hurt, you tend to want to just go backwards and draw back within your shell. You're worried about how you're going to be seen, and worried about how people view you. So some of those things you don't let out unless you feel kind of comfortable to do it. So I think you learn it, and it shows upon like through socially and through people, what people have told you, people have seen, whether they show you on television or through the media or whatever the case may be, that you shouldn't show your emotions. And I think we tend to just reinforce that through everything that we do.
So my observation, well, was there anybody else who wanted to add to that before I can get into some questions?
Well, yeah, Gary's right. But if you go back in the history, back in the 50s, 60s, you had the Leave It to Beaver, you had the Father Knows Best, where it was stereotype roles. The man went out and he did what he had to do. He had to go work. He had to be strong. Then he had to come back home to this quote unquote emotional being. And the last thing he wanted to do was be like her. So he was nurtured into being the strong, men don't cry. You know, you just kind of, if you have any kind of issues, you go to work and you work it out. You get in that steel mill and you take it out on the steel. You go to wherever it is that you have to go and you work it out there. But you don't sit around with a Chardonnay or with any kind of liquid and talk to your wife. No, you go in your room with either Rover or the TV remote and you just suck it up. And that's how men were nurtured. So you pass that down. So I have seen no correlation between DNA of a man who's guarded and the unborn child. But what I have seen and read and witnessed and experienced is nurtured. Daddy don't talk, I don't talk, because that's the way it's supposed to be. And it's that kind of thinking that causes men often to have that guarded persona.
That's good, because my friend likes to always say, you produce who you are.
True.
And I find that ever since she said that to me, I find that to be so true. And everything that I see now, everything I watch, all the conversations I have, and when you just look at the dynamics of families, even in the dynamics of your communities, you within your community, you produce who you are, and your family, you produce who you are. You can only teach what you know. You can't teach what you know. And so what you know, whether it's functional or dysfunctional, just is passed down. So one of my observations is that men do express their feelings, but it's not always publicly, or you can tell they are feeling something not so good displayed on their behavior. For example, when a man, he may not be getting attention from the significant other. So instead of asking for time, they get an attitude, they may slam doors, or they may complain about her being on the phone all the time. Why do you think men tend to express negative feelings in aggressive ways rather than with words? Or maybe that's just true. Talk to me. Tell me.
I don't know if that's, I agree with Mike. I think that was more maybe a generation ago. I think that every generation is a little bit different. I look at my boys and the way they express themselves. Of course, they're not married or in serious relationships, but just in general, the way they express themselves is much different than even I would as a kid. Just where you were seen and not heard, period. Even and not heard. But I think that that part has changed, where this younger generation, they tell it, and they're gonna tell it. Not only gonna tell it, they're gonna post it, and you're gonna know kind of maybe minute by minute, the good, the bad, and the ugly, where they're at and what they're thinking.
So secret, so is that something that you nurtured in them, or was
Absolutely
something
not.
that is just a cultural thing for their generation?
That's society. Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I think over time, if anybody's a parent, they'll tell you, you know, especially with the first one, you're just figuring it out. And I was young, you're just figuring it out. And then over time, I think my parenting, it does change. Kids get older and everything, but I will say when they were younger, you know, I leaned upon more of how I was raised. And then, you know, you kind of come into your own. But I think just society doesn't allow that, you know, be seen and not heard mentality anymore. I mean, these kids, you know, they're gonna have a voice, and they're gonna roar regardless. So I don't necessarily think it's something I instilled in them, but just something that, you know, just is, you know, living in this world that we currently live in, that is a privilege and or something that they automatically felt like they had the right to. Well, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about this. Whereas even as a kid, there was a lot of times that I thought things I would never say them. And but the things I wouldn't say, they'll say without even thinking twice about it. So I definitely think that's a society thing.
Ish, I see you shaking your head.
Well, what I think and what I experience a lot with a lot of young people is that you have a spirit of entitlement. They feel as though they entitled to certain things that when we came up, when you're looking like the brother was saying back in the 50s and 60s, I'm a 60s baby. And so, I raised up in a little bit of 60s and 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
And you had to work for what you had to get.
Right.
You had to look at the examples of your father and your mother and them, and you follow those examples. Whether they was right or wrong, you follow those examples, and that's what you went by. And what you had is what you had. But now today, with the younger generation that we have today in terms of men, they feel though they entitled to what they supposed to have. And when we didn't have that spirit of entitlement in those days. And that's what you're getting from a lot of young men today, is you're getting that spirit of entitlement. And then what I also experienced with a lot of them is that they compare themselves. They don't look at you as a person that's in a position of authority, or a person that's elderly or over them, or set in position of life. You've been more experienced in life. You got some things that impart in them. They look as though they have just as much strong input as you do with their lives in terms of concerning any issues that they feel that is personal to them. And I think that can be a problem sometimes, because when you're trying to express something that you've already been there, what's going way up ahead. These young people don't want to, they don't want to embrace that when it comes to an older person. I had some issues with a person that said some things to me, and there was no respect in it at all. There was no looking at me as a person that was old enough to be their grandfather or something like that. They looked at me as an equal. And I say this all the time. I said, I'm not an equal to you. I'm a person who's been experienced a lot of things in life, and I'm a person who can impart something in you that you may not know that you're going to experience, but you don't want that because you thinking in your mind you don't live that all. And what I say to a lot of young people, when you live a life that's in advanced thinking like that, where you don't live out your life, you live almost the total position of your life. You don't experience almost everything in your life, and there's nothing left for you but your outcome of what you're thinking in your mind. And that's not true. You have more than that to give when you allow yourself. I believe in the principles of the Bible when it says that a lot of times young men need to be quick to listen and slow to speak. That way they can understand a lot of things that they think they have an understanding for, but they don't, because they want to continue to express themselves before they even listen to somebody that has the experience or the know-it-all about something that can help them down the road. And that's the problem that I see a lot of times with a lot of young men when it comes to balancing their behaviors, because their behaviors is based on their emotions. And so, when you're talking about emotions, you get a lot of young people that are aggressive in emotions now, more so than when we were oppressed with emotions, because we weren't able to express our emotions back in the day, because our parents weren't able to express their emotions back in the day. And so we were brought up into that culture. Now you have a culture that expresses itself more, but it's more damaging because they say things that can go forward forever. And we need to learn how to get back to that principle to where you begin to listen, think about what you're saying, and then come out of that position of selfishness. Because when you're in a place of selfishness, you're only looking at yourself and what you desire, what you need. But a lot of times it's just an opinion. It's only an opinion on how you thinking and how you feeling. That don't mean it's a proven fact. That don't mean it's a proven position on another person's life. It's just an opinion. But you got to be able to listen to the whole realm of everything, so you can make sure when you get this opinion that you make sure you make the right choices in what you're saying and what you're doing, because you might not have those right choices. And so that's what I see with a lot of young people when they dealing with a lot of issues. That's it right there in a nutshell to me. So.
Yeah, I have to definitely agree with you, brothers. Just looking at my household, it's been times, as far as even with our son, where we have to, sometimes we got to talk to them a little bit more. Think they know everything, even with my daughters. So it's one of those things where we have to sit down and talk to them. One thing I do in our household is that I always let them know, hey, you can express what's on your mind, and I want you to say what's on your mind, but always be respectful in what you're saying. However, just because you say it, don't necessarily mean I'm going to agree with it. So once you get older and you get the power to do what you want to do, then that's fine. But for right now, these are the rules here. So what rules we have here at the house, then This is what
Yeah.
you're going to deal with. And there's nothing wrong with expressing your opinion, and it's just an opinion. But just because you have that opinion, don't necessarily mean that we're gonna move forward just because you think that way. Because, like you said, I have more experience in doing things that you haven't done. So I'm trying to
Right.
show you the right way as far as to do things, so you will make sure that you won't do the bad things that I maybe has possibly done in my past.
I
So
think a
I
lot.
think about my son. I'm sorry, brother, real quick. My son, he has this group of friends, and they all are married. And when him and I go fishing, he tells me about all this amazing conversation they have. They talk about life, love, pursuit of happiness, jobs, everything. And they are vulnerable with one another. They share. And I often wonder how much does he share with his wife like he shared with his boys? It's almost like he could be vulnerable with them over FaceTime and Zoom and things like that. But I don't see him as open with the one
Right.
that he's with. And I look at myself and I always say, man, did I nurture him into that? Because I think of myself as someone that communicates. But I don't know if it was passed down. So when you could nurture someone into not being guarded, but if things have happened to them personally, it will cause
Yeah.
them to close back up. So even the quote unquote good nurturing can be hijacked by trauma.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because what causes a man to be guarded with their feelings and not express them? You know, there's a lot of ways, a lot of things. Everyone has different upbringings. We you know, raised in different communities and areas. We all may be African American on this panel, but we all have not necessarily had the same upbringing. But you have a man who might have been raised in Florida, and another raised in Ohio, and another raised in Minnesota. But we all still end up having that same nurturing, or you still have a majority of them that are guarded or emotionally unavailable. So can we talk a little bit about how that happens?
A lot of that, I would say, is growing up. It's a number of things. It's your household, and it's all about your community that you're around. So your community that you're around and your household, I mean, that plays a big factor in that. Because a lot of times, as far as think about it. What you doing when you was a young man, what you may have did at home, and what you did out in the streets is not the same thing that you may do.
Right.
So if you out there in the streets, basically, and when I say streets, let's just don't say streets. Let's just say when you out there hanging out with your buddies, a lot of times it's just more about that. You know, you have to somewhat. They'll say, "I'll stop being a chump or whatever." You know, they'll throw that on you. You know, you being soft.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of stuff that was said back in, I mean, they might still say it to this day, but, you know, it was always saying that back when I was younger. You know, don't come out here acting like a little chump or being soft. You gotta, you know, be hard. So, you was guarded. So basically, you know, especially when you're in your home, you can be who you are, but to a degree. But if you had that father that was actually very strong like that too, you know, tell you, hey, you need to suck it up. Quit sitting up there crying if something, you know, happened. Then, you know, like I said, it plays a big factor as far as for you to be guarded, as far as even when you're going into relationships later on in your life.
I could tell you about even like one of my female clients, and it has happened more than once, but specifically this one client, she brought her son, Doug, he couldn't have been no more than 3. And he was crying. And she told him, if you don't shut the F up with all that crying, I can like a little bee. He said, you supposed to be a soldier out here, and you acting like a little bee. And I just talked to her, and I said, really? I said, he's 3 years old. I said, what do you want him to do with these emotions? I said, you're going to raise a killer, which brings me to, you know, like even when we playing football back in Florida, some of the best athletes, I promise you, were them ones whose fathers was absent or them fathers wasn't, you know, around. Them guys would get on the football field and they be monsters. They would take their aggression out on that football field and become stars. But then when they get off the football field, they can't turn it off. They still aggressive,
Mhm.
and some have become abusers, womanizers, because that's still how I show I'm a man. I got that.
Yeah.
You better get over here, woman. And then, you know, he want to have 50 women because to him, that shows his male prowess and his dominance of being a man. I could get any woman I want. And you just continue to just perpetuate that lie on down to your children.
Right.
And that's how we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a comment from someone in the chat. They said, you know, previous generations believed that men shouldn't cry and they stopped boys from crying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's true.
I know that most of the time that we would think that it was something wrong if you cried. Almost like Mike said, you know, you need to shut that crying up. You need to suck it up, get back out there, quit whining. You know, I better not see a tear. You got to be strong for your mama. You got to be strong for this one.
Yeah.
And when you start hearing that you got to be strong for people, you really you're not able to accept someone helping you in your time. You believe that you can't even show that. That's a sign of weakness. There's a problem. And then you get amongst your friends and your associates and things of that nature. And that's when it gets pushed. So, you know, it's really difficult with that. It takes you a while to really just start to say, you know what, I'm all right with who I am. You have to become comfortable with who you are and understand these emotions do happen. But for a lot of times we have been pushed on that you shouldn't have these feelings. And if you do, you shouldn't show them, and don't show them in public. Please don't show them in front of your friends or in public.
Right.
So then what happens to them feelings when you can't cry, you can't show the feelings and they all bottled up? I mean, how does it get shown? What happens?
Oh, they come, the things that Mike just said
That's
is
right.
for real. And I don't mean to be, you know, but it happens. You become aggressive. They come out in places where they shouldn't. And you don't call it anything else, but you're angry, you're upset. You will not call it jealous, hurt, embarrassed, sad, scared, worried. Those words aren't coming out your mouth. They're replaced, because if you say them, it would be a sign of weakness. And I deal with, you know, my clients that I deal with, I teach anger management and aggression, and those guys, I tell them anger is a secondary emotion. They look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, but did you feel hurt? And they're like, I'm not going to say that. I'm like, but did you? And it takes a while to really get them to start to say those types of words. And they don't understand the damage that it's doing to other people and their relationships. They struggle mightily.
I think a lot of times what you struggling with, what guys are struggling with like that is identity too. When like Mike was saying, is that you just creating this imaginary identity because of the pain and that you suppressing. And so now you became this individual who's just in this imaginary world, struggling with this true identity, with no identity, but the identity on the inside is the one that really want to be expressed, but he can't express it because he's expressing all this violence and bad language and acting out or whatever it may be. But he should be able to come to somebody and sit down, just like I was talking to a brother the other day. And I told him, I said, one of the biggest problems that I see with men is that we have to be truthful about our issues and what we struggle with and what we're thinking about, and open that up to somebody and have a good cluster of men around us and a good group of people who we can express ourselves to and talk about issues. And I said, when you don't do that and you isolate yourself, you ain't got nobody to think about but your own identity and your own mind. And that's a dangerous place to be by yourself, because you're only going by your own opinion. And so I said that the thing that you need to do is be to open up and get around a group of men and get you some accountability and get under some type of authority. That way you can now be structured and move into a better position in life and have different opinions on things, and not just what your mind is telling you. And so I think that's what you see when we get into that place of suppressing our issues. We go back to that imaginary person who's trying to hold this big muscle thing up, that we got this big image of who we are, but we ain't really that person on the inside. We this little bitty boy. I remember one time with my father, I was helping him doing some work outside, and I got tired. And all I did was put my hands on my hips from being tired, just like a person in sports do. You put your hands on your hips. He smacked me straight upside my head for that. And I'm like, why? And I cried. And he said, don't you cry, boy. And then he set that identity. He was setting an identity in me that was that I didn't, you know, and then from that day on, I just kept thinking about that, and that became a part of my identity. And I said to myself, when I got old enough, I said, you know what, that was wrong. That was wrong. And I began to learn and understand that I can't allow that to happen or explain it to another person. That was wrong. My father dropped the ball that day. He dropped me more so than holding me up. He dropped me. And so I forgave him, but I now understand that I have to impress a better and a different identity in myself that another person can draw to that more so than that fake identity that a lot of these guys is running around here with and showing and expressing their true emotions when they should just come on out with it. Like I like the one brother was talking about his sons was talking and this and that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. But if you can't talk to everybody like that, it's a problem.
Right.
It's a problem.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I use the analogy, being up here in this Akron, Youngstown area, they have a lot of factories, and they had a lot of factories, steel mills and everything. But, you know, I would always say, even to clients, that even in this big factory, productive, good things are happening. But every so often, they have to vent the factory to let out all that built up steam and energy. If not, the factory won't explode, it will implode. Likewise, that person, if they don't learn how to vent, learn how to talk through their emotions, sooner or later, they're gonna implode, and then everybody's gonna know something is wrong. And then you have these super aggressive men that believe that fathering children is their way of saying how tough, how rough, how, you know, man I am. Man, I got 15 children and 13 babies mamas. And you like, well, I don't understand what's your point. The point to him is that that's his way of saying, look at me, I'm a strong man. Yeah, I'm a strong man. So we're raising sometimes these super aggressive, hypersexual men that is not committed to one woman because they don't even know what commitment is. And they walk around at 60 years old, 70 sometimes, still chasing skirt. You like, man, you 70 years old, and he, yeah, baby, but I still got it. I'm like, at 70, I don't want to have it. I'm looking for a meal and a comfortable bed. That's what I'm looking for.
Charlie, you've been kind of quiet. What you have to say?
Nothing right now. I'm just listening and taking it all in. Because if a guy got 26 kids or 16 kids, what kind of women are you dealing with?
That's a good question.
Well, I won't condemn the women. I would say women are trying their best to look for a good man. And you know, Charlie, like I know, if you got a good mouthpiece, man, you could look like Kermit the Frog, but you could get any girl you want because you done talked to her in such a way to where you got her believing that she's the one when she could be not the one, but the fifth or the sixth one. So I'm not gonna chop up ladies like that. I'm gonna say that men have this smooth way about them that they can just get any woman. And I had a friend, ugly as sin, but man, he could get Christy Teigen from John Legend just by his swagger. And I'm so serious. So the women ain't so bad. It's just they trying their best to find a good man. So I'm not trying to come at women. I'm gonna try to keep it on men that we got some work to do.
I will say this though,
I can agree.
Charlie, I would probably guarantee if whoever the women he is dealing with, and if he got a lot of kids, he's probably got a lot of headaches too, because
yes, he
ain't doing what he's supposed to do. Oh, he's gonna catch it.
Right.
Yeah, he gonna catch it.
He gonna catch it all. And
I got
one of the things us as men, as far as like Ishmael was saying, is that when we have these young group of men, we need to let them know, hey, don't throw this all over the universe, because you don't want those issues. I mean, that's one thing I definitely tell my son to this day. Don't throw that all over the universe, because you don't want them issues. I promise you don't want it. Because when you do
Sure
it,
don't.
you just don't know. You don't know what you get yourself into. Tell them.
Right.
So
I know.
talking a
Trust me.
lot about dysfunction, you know, the handed down dysfunctions from our families that, you know, sometimes they just don't even know it's dysfunction. They think they really try to teach you to be strong, and it ends up hurting you in the long run. But can we talk a little bit about our cultural issues and the things that we've had to deal with culturally that has caused men, the men to be guarded and to not show their emotions? How has the culture and where we come from and along in our generations that brings us to this point, especially with the things going on in the media right now? I mean, we have a lot of people out there, and it's not just Black folks either, that are expressing these emotions in aggressive, damaging ways. How has our culture and our society caused us to be like this?
Oh, you bring it up the real now, B. Even as a quote unquote educated Black man, I still got to be better than my white counterparts. I still got to kind of walk on eggshells, because the moment I bring my full self to the situation, they can't handle it, you know, because I come in there and I might say, well, look, we need to do something about this. That, whoa, Michael, whoa, slow it down. But Charlie Joe, my Caucasian brother, he could come in and he could pretty much tell them where to go, how to get there, how quick, and they'd be like, wow, he really told us something. So I'm saying, even in our workplace, we were still as sub-employees. There was the employee, and then there was the Black man. And the Black man, he was just happy to have a job. We couldn't talk, we couldn't say nothing. So even then, we felt so subjugated to where we couldn't express ourselves on the job. So then we bring that home, and honey, you know, your wife say, how was your day? I don't want to talk about it. So, you know, even in society, the Black man is low on the pole of importance. And that in your mind as a Black man, it messes with you, and you have to deal with that. So what's going on today? I'm glad it's going on. It's time for a change. That's just my personal note.
That's good.
We ain't gonna go off on all that.
So when you say that it messes with your mind and that we lost someone, it says it messes with your mind, and you know, it kind of it's putting you down here. So what does that do to your identity, to be just always oppressed?
Well,
Go ahead, Gary.
your identity, you don't even get to be your full self, because it's not even you. You're on eggshells. You're worried. I worry about making sure that I keep my job. I have to run a household, I have teens, all these things. So if something gets a little sideways at work, I have to dial it back, because I'm pretty much sure that if, as Mike said, if I start to express myself, this can go sideways. I can be disgruntled guy, and so forth. So I got to worry about that. I got to worry about my teenage boys, about my size. So now I got to worry about how they go, you know, all these things going through my mind. And now you're going to ask me how I'm doing. And I'm trying to figure that out myself, of trying to just know what I'm feeling. A lot of times the things that we got to deal with, it's just, you know, to get home is an event, you know, to get home safely is an event. And then to make sure that everything is right and everything that's dependent on it. Because, you know, if you're having a bad day, you don't want everybody else to know you're having a bad day, and they get worried because, you know, Pop's supposed to have the answer. Pop's supposed to be the foundation. Pop can fix it. And if it seems like you can't fix it, now you got your household out of whack. So a lot of times you go through some things. You really If you express yourself, wait a minute, whoa, 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 you got an anger problem. Whoa, 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 we're not ready to talk about that. And it really, unless you, like I've talked with Mike, me and Mike have talked, me and Sivas have talked, and a few others, and we can talk about things without any worry about those things happening. I got friends that I can, but that isn't open all the time. And sometimes you just need a moment mentally to yourself just to unwind with some of that.
So we do have a question from someone in the chat. They said, as leaders, do Black men deal with not being heard or valued like women do?
Say that one more time, Angelina.
As
Yeah.
leaders, do Black men deal with not being heard or valued like women do?
I would say we deal with it. I don't know if it's like women do, because you all as women have your own unique set of issues.
Right.
But when a man is not being heard, not being valued, it's the ultimate disrespect. I mean, it hurts
Yeah.
on so many levels, and it
That's
makes
true.
you just want to just beat the brakes off somebody. You're like, I'm tired of this, I ain't putting up with this stuff no more, and you find yourself on edge, and if you're not careful, it'll come out to the
In the
wrong
wrong
person.
place.
Right. So I know women have their own unique issues, and I see your pain and I respect your pain. And men, it's just, man, God, what else? So it hurts a lot. And you still got to come home, smile, see your children, talk to your wife and be a loving person. And sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah, it can be very difficult, because I remember when I worked somewhere and I'm giving out certain things that we should do, and I'm saying, hey, we should do this, this, and this, and when I'm telling them we should do it this way, and I was like the lead on my shift, and I'm teaching my guys, telling my guys to do it this way, everything is working. And then when I say, hey, when we try it with everybody, they ain't want to do it. Then turn around, a couple months later, because they blew me off pretty swift, like, we're not doing it that way. Then turn around, then a couple of months later, then they did it, and then they act like they the ones who thought it up. And I was pissed. I was pissed, like, what? Hold on. Didn't I just say do it this way?
Right.
I'm like, so, I had to calm down. And I had to think. Then I said, okay, I'm not even gonna say anything. I said something to a friend at work, but he was like, yeah, I understand. And I mean, it just seems like I was I wasn't valued at the time. It was disrespectful.
Yeah.
So it's like, and one of the things what I don't do is when I come home from work, I never talk about as far as what happened at work. I always leave work at work. I don't ever talk about what I did at work or what went on at work at home, because even when I was younger, I always see how my dad worked construction for years. And when my dad came home, he was very tired. And at first I didn't understand it, but he used to always take his boots off and put them in a certain place or whatever. My mother used to get so mad. And my mother used to be pissed. So when she was upset, and they'd get into a big argument. And I used to see my dad, he just walk away, go on about his business. And then it got to a point where, when she started saying something, eventually he just blew up.
Right.
And it's like, holding all that in that was going on at work.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear all that when you come home. So usually, like I said, what I do is whatever I got going on as far as at my job, I just leave it at my job. At home is what I do at home.
Right.
Well, I want to talk to Charlie, because I've heard stories from Charlie. I know Charlie outside of this, where Charlie, you've dealt with a lot being a Cincinnati firefighter.
I was trying to get
They
it.
come at
I've seen a
you.
lot. I've seen it a lot.
And-
It's different now from when I was younger, because I'm one of the old guys. So it doesn't matter. But people listen to me. I ain't got to raise my voice or do nothing, because I earned that, because I deal with life and death situations all the time.
Right.
You never, my job is never the same. You never go to work thinking it's gonna be the same thing every day. So I was there when I was a kid. Now I'm one of the old guys in the job. So people tend to listen to me. and take everything I say to the heart, no matter what color they are. I'm different now. When I was young, I was a little rough, because I was rough around the edges. But now it's like, I earned that. I don't have those problems.
And I'm sorry, Gary, I cut you off. You were gonna say something?
No, you're good. You know, like Doug said, you know, things you bring home, you come home, and sometimes that's where you just believe you should be able to relax and not have to have. But when you're at work, and if you're in a position and your opinions and your ideas aren't being valued, you almost just feel you're there for the token to say you're there.
Right.
But
right.
not really to do anything else. You're just there because we needed to have this to settle these things or to fit these types of options. And I agree with you, Doug. You have an idea and it's like, it's really truly working. And then somebody pull it up like it's theirs. And you're like, wow, didn't I just say that? And everybody look at you like, oh, and they'll keep on with their conversation as though you were just there to be the guy or to be a figurehead or just be in that place. And now you're like, as Mike said, I had to get more education. I had to have more time on the job. I had to jump through some more hoops. And now I can't even get the respect that the title brings.
Right.
That's a deal breaker.
I think that what I've learned is that when you're dealing with people that value what you are, who you are, and what you do, then you have to build something within yourself. Because for me,
Yeah.
there's nobody on this earth can tell me the value that I'm worth.
Right.
Can't do that, because you know, I've learned that young. I learned that when I was real young, because I had to put my hands to the ground, because I do stuff with my hands. I use my mind too, but I usually do stuff with my hands. So that's what I am. I'm a craftsman. And so I've
Yes,
learned that my value is greater than what you ever can pay me or give to me. You can't, there's not enough money in the world for my value. And so I've learned that. And so what I'll do is I'll try to create, I like what the one brother said, what the fireman, what you do is, you know, you were young, you became old, but now you express that to the younger people and teach them how to take that less value that they was getting from whatever it was and become to learn how to create your own value, what you believe in and what you want in life. And that's why I believe in that. I truly believe the wealth is switched, but our attitude has to switch with that wealth too. And we have to be able to bring value to what we believe in terms of building our own wealth, whether it's in finances, whether in love, whatever it may be. You got to start learning how to build your own wealth and your own position of what you're thinking that you need for your life and for others, and how you can express what you have in yourself and give that to others so they can see a different value for things in life outside of what somebody told them a lie.
That's right.
It ain't nothing but a lie that they telling you. And I've seen people come to me and tell me stuff like that, where you wasn't this and you wasn't worth this and you wasn't worth that. I said, okay. All right. Now, I mean, even the relationships with women, you know, some women think, you know, I remember one time I got out of the military and met a girl and came to her house and she thought I had a Cadillac and I caught the bus to her house. No. I said, no, I caught the bus to come see you, you know. But she said, oh, I thought that was your car. So from that point, she didn't value me. But when I created a $14 million company and she saw me again, then she valued me. But I said, no, you should have valued me when I didn't have nothing. But I valued myself. Well, the same thing was in me then. It was in me now. And so I said, you know, and I looked at it like that. I didn't, you know, and so I always built that value for things for myself, irregardless of what the outcome is or my bad choices or my mistakes. I still build that value that I can make it, I can do it, I can have it. There ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't have it. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't do it. And that's how we have to look at life. And that's how we have to express that to people that's coming behind us. Because if we don't do that, they always gonna be using that as an scapegoat to say you can't do it. And that's a lie. I don't know who told you that. That's a lie. You can do it, you can have it, you can become it, you can do whatever you want to do, but you got to come off under that system that they put in the world to think that we got to be under their system, especially when you're dealing with corporate America. They got a certain system that that they quote unquote want you to follow up under, but that ain't the system that you should be following. You should be following under your own system and building your own value, your own purposes, your own plan, and then set that on fire and then begin to start putting that into other people, building that same value, the same purpose, the same plan. And now we don't became a great people. And that's my whole goal right there, is to push everything on the inside of me out and get it to somebody, because they have to get that in order to build wealth. That's the only way we're gonna build wealth in this country as an African-American people, as a people of color, is that we're going to have to start building our own position of value. And I think that's what the Black movement is all about, is building value. We have to build our own value and make a demand on that value, but stay in focus with that and not move from no side by side, none of that. And that's what it's all about. So that's how I feel about it.
So how do you take these toxic messages? How do men take these toxic messages that they've been getting all their life and turn that into value? Change their mind and turn that into value and turn that into some worth when society and family and trauma and all the things, these messages they've been getting has been beating them down. How do you take that and turn it into something like you're talking about, Ish?
Well, I'm gonna say this. Now I learned this week, and it came to me just as simple. A lot of men and myself, from the beginning, we were dropped. We were dropped. We didn't have the opportunities that we should have had in the beginning. We were dropped, whether it was from our parents, whether it was from society, whether it was from God, or our position of how we believe in God, or how the world was created. We were dropped. We were never given that opportunity to be able to see the true meaning of what we should be. And so and so now that you became this grown person, and now you walking on this earth, you trying to figure all this out when you should have had it installed to you, given to you, brought up in you, part of your custom, part of your belief, your system of righteous and unrighteousness. All that should have been gave to us, but we lost that value because we were dropped and we were never able to pick that back up. If you say 400 years of being dropped, that's where we are right now. And so now we coming into this place to where we come into a realization that, look, that ain't what it really is, and that ain't what we really are. We are who we are. We are what we are. Just like like a lot of these guys don't know my true story, but then we could sit down and talk about that at lunch. But if you hear my story, you'll find out that, man, this dude came from this and that. Now he where he at now, because I realized I was dropped, but I ain't dropped no more. I can pick myself up and I can begin to do something.
Right.
And that's how it's going to have to happen. And then we got to get to a place where we in these groups, just like we are right now, talking about how we can build value, but stand on these values. If one of us got strong value than the other one, then we need to push the one with the strongest strength and get up under him so we can all flow with his authority, get in the same vein he's in and grow with him. And then when he remember that we as a group walk with him, then he gonna push back what he needs to help us get where we need to be, where he is. And so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that type of individual who can help me to grow and push me even greater than where I am, so I can push another person and get them where they need to be. And so that's the only way we're gonna build these values and these changes in our lives. And when we come together as a people and realize that we were dropped, but we ain't dropped no more. We picking up our pieces and we moving forward. But we're gonna do it as a group. We can't do it individually, we gotta do it as a group. And that's it.
We have a comment that says, knowing the direction you want yourself to go in and push forward through all obstacles. Jeff Jordan is watching. You got to know the direction you want yourself to go in and push forward through all obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
But I think about what you said, Angelina, with everything that you said, our trauma, generational trauma, what's happened to us, all that. How do we move through? I really want to say it's difficult. It's not easy. From things that we were denied, some of us became entrepreneurs. Brother Ish was saying value. When your company don't value, and you have a specific skill, and you know that people will pay you for this skill, quite naturally, you will start thinking, how else can I get this skill out? So then you become an entrepreneur and you start valuing yourself and you start making things available to others. A true man will not only raise himself up, but he will raise somebody else up, because we can't be crabs in a bucket. You know, I'm worried
Right.
about Ishmael, and I'm worrying about Gary, and I'm worrying about Cephas being in the top 5%. I'm happy about that, because
Yeah.
I know that if I really need a house, I could call my man Cephas. And if that house catch on fire, I'm gonna call my brother who the fireman. And if I need some cabinets made, I'm gonna call Ish. And if I have some problems in my mind, I'm gonna call Gary and say, man, can we work this out?
There you go.
But it's just using
Yeah.
the resources that you are given. But I will say, that's when you separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
And it's difficult when you've been hurt, traumatized. So it's gonna take patience, love, understanding, talk to, get your skill up, close that educational gap, and really, really, really know your value. And Ishmael, on that other thing where you went to that lady's house on the bus and she thought you was in a Cadillac, all I want to say is, now I'm not saying she no gold digger, but anyway. Just saying.
But I mean, I have to totally
That is
agree.
so true what you're saying, brother.
Yeah.
That you know, like I say to some people, like say people lost their value, and you know a guy lost value in some things, you know he's struggling with some stuff. Well, never throw each other away. You
Right.
know,
No.
always say to the guy, because I'll say to a guy, like a guy could work for me, right? And he might not get it. He might not get it. And I say,
Right.
man, I gotta let you go. But you can come back
Right.
when you're ready. Come back when you're ready, because I can't have you coming to work every day late. So I need
Right.
you to be on time because I depend on you. But you ain't getting it. So I'm going to let you go. But when you get it and you want to come back, then come back. I'm not going to throw you away and say you don't have no value. You have value. So get it together and come back and show me that you got
Yeah.
it. And so that's what, you know, I never throw each other away. I don't care what you've done in life. I'm not going to throw you away because God didn't throw me away. And I know I made tons of mistakes and going to make some in the future. He ain't thrown me away yet. So I cannot throw another human being away just because his value is not where he believes it should be. We should always bring each other up, you know.
And I have to agree with that, because one of the things that, I mean, speaking of value, I mean, Mr. Charlie Mills over there, I mean, that's been my brother since I was a little kid. I mean, we've been through a lot together. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. We didn't have
Yeah.
anything. And when you say holding somebody up, I mean, just having a brother like that in my life, as far as helping hold me up, and I'm holding him up, and then, I mean, it doesn't compare. And even my brother Jeff Jordan, who actually just said something right now, brothers like that just in your life, and even when you start getting new brothers around you, brother Ish, been an inspiration in my life, helping me as far as, you know, when I'm walking through right now. I mean, it's just having another brother in your corner, talking to you when
Yeah.
you're not sure what's going on. I mean, it helps out a lot.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think we said earlier that men will talk to men. They'll have their conversations. I think Mike said his son, when he's with his friends and they fishing or whatever, and they have these conversations about things. But how do you begin to open up and start expressing those feelings and sharing outside of that clique, per se?
Are you talking about sharing with a significant other, like a spouse, or
Yes.
trust?
Yeah.
He really has to trust her. He has to believe in her. And she, you know, Black women are phenomenal. And if you don't have a Black woman, no disrespect, I'm just using Black women because that's all I know. So Black women are phenomenal. And I think they bring a unique skill set, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, that if a man could just open up his heart and listen to her, she can help him with all the pains that he's been through, whether it's trauma, grief, loss of job, whatever. When you have a good lady in your corner and you know her, like J. Cole said, you know that that kid is your kid. If you know what I'm talking about, you could trust her. She could help you with that. And she has to learn to know when to come at you and when to back off. Because some days I could come home and man, I really don't want to, tell her what's going on. And, later on in the cool of the day,
Yeah.
man, she'd be like, so baby, tell me what happened. I said, well, you know how I'm saying.
Yeah.
She just give me that space a little bit. So,
Yeah.
but it comes from trust and understanding. And she has to understand him and understand herself and how they work together. That's the way I feel about it.
So
And
we have a
then you gotta
question
believe-
in chat.
Go ahead.
How do you make it safe to love and trust? I don't know if that person means how do you all make it safe to love and trust, or how do we make it safe for you all to love and trust? What is it that you're looking for? What does that look like to you all?
Shoot. For me and my wife.
I found mine, but it's hard to say.
For me and my wife, shoot, my love and trust is my actions. I gotta say what I gotta say and be what I say, and do what I'm supposed to do. And then that just opened the gates for everything that I need and desire from her. But when I don't do that, then that's when I'm gonna start having some issues. So I have to really be open and to give her what she needs, give her what she needs and what she desires from me, and be truthful about it and be consistent with it. That's one of the things you got to be, is have consistency with your spouse. And so
Yeah.
that's the bottom line to me, And then what I want to also say was that I had to learn how to listen, like Mike was saying, to the voice of my wife. God told me, he said, you got to listen to the voice of your wife. I
Right.
gave it to you
Yeah.
for a purpose. And my success wouldn't be nowhere if it wasn't because of the voice of my wife.
Right.
And sometimes I had to look at her and say, she's not the enemy. Even though it might be my masculinity might get in the way and my pride might get in there because I'm a man, like my wife, we have a beauty shop. She owns a beauty shop and she does hair. And I tell her all the time, she explained to me about construction. And I say, when I ain't over there talking to you while you doing your client, I ain't telling you to put the color in their hair, certain way. And then when I listen to her, 9 times out of 10, what she's telling me about construction is right, even though she ain't out there on the job site.
Right.
So I had to learn how to
Yeah.
listen to her, because she'll tell me, well, you need to, if you go over there tomorrow and pick up the material today, you won't have this over here, you won't do this, that, and that. She's laying out my whole plan. And I'm like, and if I do it, beautiful day.
Right.
Beautiful day.
Hey,
If I
hey,
go
listen,
my way,
Hey.
that's
my wife tell me that now. That's what I'm learning now. She tells me that now. And it's the honest to God truth. It is true, because basically, I'm so used to being independent and doing things on my own. So it's like I have someone in my corner that I know I can trust and that's there for me. So sometimes I just got to sit back and listen and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
He knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And look, and I have to be like, yeah, baby, you're right. I mean, you got to be like this sometimes. I mean, it's funny, but it's the truth, though. You're right. I understand. You're right. You got to sit back and you got to. I don't know everything.
So what?
But if your father taught you don't trust no woman, that's a problem.
man.
And that's that
Huge.
generational stuff.
Huge.
Man, you don't trust no woman with your money. And that's thing, you got a bank account, she got a bank account, you got 10 grand and she got $50. Where's the
That's a
trust and
problem.
all that? Yeah. So
That's
you
a
gotta
problem.
you gotta leap over that wall of what you was even nurtured into, which is don't trust women. Like my pop told me back when I was young. He said, boy, there's 2 people you trust in this world. That's your mama and God. I said, God, dog.
Man.
So how does having that right person to support you, nurture you, how does that begin to help you break down your walls? What does that transition, and what does that feel like to you all to be able to start to break down those walls and
I
change
can tell.
that dysfunction into a different value?
Well, I can tell you for myself that it turns into that you feel all right if you don't know everything. You feel as though you can make a mistake. You're not looked upon to be perfect. And that person is going to pick you up. They're going to be there. They're going to give you, as the brother said earlier, they're going to give you some advice of how to do it. Sometimes they're going to give you, not even give you advice, they're going to give you direction and order of how to do it. But it's for the greater good for everything involved, because you know you're on the same team. My wife and I have been married, will be 29 years. And the process started was, we got married and my wife was like, well, I might have some ideas about paying the bills. And you're like, oh, no. I got it. And I got it so good to where I didn't do it right. And I wasn't man enough to say, hey, you know what? I need some help on this, need some help on that. And she said, you know what? Just let me give it a shot. And if it works, if it don't work, you can go back to doing what you're doing. And I said, all right, why not? And like Mike, I'm like, well, that's my money. I should be able to do what I want to do with it. This, and that. But when she did it, I'm going to tell you this. I still don't know. I know I can get what I want, when I want, how I want. And she's always there looking out for the greater good. She makes my house and my life complete. But it was like the ability to say, this person will trust me of who I am, won't judge me, and they're always there. Brother Ish said consistency. It was up to me. I had to be consistent too. I just couldn't show up, but I had to be willing to show that I was open enough to listen. Married her, and I was in it for the companion and for everything else that was coming. But I had to be vulnerable. I had to be willing to say, this is the person that God put me with, the person that I love, that I choose. Why do I think they got to be the enemy? I already got enough enemies as it is. I shouldn't have them in the house.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
Well, I think it's wonderful when you have a lady that understands that, and I want to say this loud and proud, that you are Black Panther. Oh yeah, we all in this chat room, we Black Panther. But it's okay, because sometimes she don't need Black Panther. Sometimes she needs T'Challa. She don't need him to always know what to do. She needs him to be human, needs him to be vulnerable, needs him to, dang, you ain't got to take on the world every day. But when that time comes where I need you to take on the world, you better turn into Black Panther, brother. So I'm saying that's that love and that support and that trust and that understanding. And I didn't want to use Superman and Clark Kent because we Black, So Black Panther T'Challa, you know what I'm saying?
So we have a couple more comments, and then we're gonna try to start wrapping this up a little bit. Jeff Jordan said it's hard to make yourself vulnerable. And he also added that, but with those who tell you what you need to hear instead of what you want to hear, that's the beginning of true relationship and friendship. So how do we begin to, again, let's bring this back to something Ish mentioned, which is your identity. How do you take all this dysfunction from the family and those toxic messages and the dysfunction and toxic messages from the society and our culture and where we've come from and the trauma that we have experienced as individuals, and begin to build a true identity, to let what's really in us begin to shine and come out? How do we begin to say, I need to change for myself. I need to do something different for myself, and allow yourself to start being vulnerable with the right people? How do we get there?
I don't want my kids to go through this. If I'm gonna have children, I don't want them to have to go through feeling like this and having these things. So in other words, I have to be able to show them and start doing things differently so that they don't keep this going the same way. So yeah, I'm gonna have to cry.
Gary, you're on mute.
All those things that are happening within that, because I want better for them and I want better for me too. And I can wallow in this all I want, but it's not going to get me anywhere. But I got to be able to stand up and actually say, you know what, I just, despite that, I still want better and I can be better. And it depends on what I want. If I really want better, I'm going to try some things differently. I can't keep doing the same thing and expecting something different to happen. I have to, I understand I can't depend on anybody else to do it. So it first starts with me because it's within me. So I'm going to have to start to make some changes within myself and not rely on somebody else to do it.
Mike, I'm gonna go to you. How do we break the cycle?
You know, it's tough anyways, and the things we're talking about tonight are difficult things. You begin, as I've said before, and I've said many times to a lot of clients, you know, yes, you could say the beginning is to acknowledge you have a problem. I could talk about my drinking problem all day, but until my drinking problem start causing me a problem, I'm not going to do anything. So when this person who lacks all of these things, they know it's a problem, but they're functional, they can go through life and it doesn't bother them. But when it starts bothering them, they want something deeper, they want something more fuller, then they're looking outside of themselves for some help, because the mind that got you into this process cannot be the mind that gets you out. You need someone from the outside looking in to say, brother, let me help you. There's this thing called the Johari window, and it talks, there's 4 different panes. It's stuff that you know, stuff that you don't know, stuff that people know that you don't know, and stuff that you don't know and nobody else know. So you got to start looking at that and saying, I don't know everything, and I need these trusting people that I love, that love me back, to say, brother, you got some issues going on and I can help you with it. So your problem has to start causing you a problem for change to come. And possibly that's part of the reasons why, you know, we get into this big debate about, yeah, I get the protests, but I don't get the looting. Without the looting, they'll still be out there marching with signs, and we'll still have Aunt Your Mama, and we'll still have all this stuff. But when you start hitting people where it hurt, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying it was necessary. Likewise, that looting got to happen within you. You got to start taking out all that stuff, and somebody got to come in and help you take it out. Then you're ready for change. But it's a process. It is a marathon, and God knows it ain't a sprint.
Amen.
Ish, as we continue, start coming to a close, tell us about your transition. I mean, because I know your story, with some things growing up, and you've experienced some things, but your mindset and your identity is so strong, and it's just unbelievable where you've come from and how you were able to kind of turn those things. How did we begin to break the cycle when you have nowhere else to go and there's nothing else around you? That is, how do you pick yourself up? How do you get with the right people?
I'd say the first thing I would say is that you know, what the word say. I believe that first you got to do is you got to confess your faults. Iron sharpens iron. Just like if I'm with Mike, I'm with all these other guys, Doug, and all of that, and then I need them to sharpen me. I need them to show me, because they're a mirror of me. They looking at what I can't see, so they're gonna give that reflection to me in their voice. They're gonna tell me, Ish, you need to calm down. Ish, you need to listen. Ish, you need to be more quiet. They're gonna put all that in me, and so I need to be able to, you know, confess that sin. I need to look at that and say, you know what, that's a fault in me. And he can see that in me, and he'll say, hey man, let's just confess this thing. And now, you know, the Bible say effectual of a righteous man available. So now I don't confess this thing with Mike or whoever it may be. And now I can avail, I can go on, I can go forward. That's the first principles that I had to do. I had to begin to start having to confess my situations and admit to what I was. Just like Micah said, admit the truth of who I am and what I was doing. Yeah. And my condition is not gonna change till I come to a realization that it ain't gonna change, because I ain't changing on the inside of me.
Right.
So when I start doing those things, then those changes start coming about. those changes started coming about. It made it easier for me to face things that I could change in quicker, things that I couldn't change in, but it gave me a consciousness of it. But then the second thing that I think is that, it's like I said in the beginning, you got to have some accountability. You got to have somebody that you in position, and then you got to have somebody that's already went through what you went through and can help you get out of what you into, because you might not be strong enough to do it. You can't do it by yourself. So you got to have somebody that you can coexist with and bound together and grow. And that's the main thing you got to do. You know, you got to do those things like that. And that's what I had to do. I had to get around a cluster of people. Like I told a brother the other day, I said, man, you got to get around a cluster of people, man. You got to get around a cluster of people. You cannot do this by yourself. You'll never be successful by yourself. You'll be successful, but you won't be as successful as you should be, because you by yourself. You got to get with a group of people that believe in your vision, and then you got to get under somebody else's vision and work as a servant. You got to serve to bring your vision to place. That's what you have to do. And I think that's where we at. We got to get under somebody. We got to serve under somebody, just like these brothers here. I don't know these brothers, but I'm willing to get up under them. I'm willing to listen to what they have to say to me. And I'm really, because they got positive information for me. And so I know I don't know everything. So not all that education in in this environment. So I got to get up under somebody that can help me grow and help me become greater than what I am today, and bring all those insignificant things and those entitlement things and all this old stuff that they say I am and what I'm not. Them brothers gonna tell me that I am what I am and who I am and what I should be and what I should become. That's what I should believe, not this other crap that they putting out here in society on me. It's the people that I'm centering myself around that believe in me, because I would have never had the businesses that I had if it weren't for the people that was around me and believing in what I could do and brought me to where I was at. Period. That's it. And so when we get to that point in our lives, we got it. We figured it out. We figured it out. All we got to do is just maintain it and continue to move forward and get it to somebody else before we leave this earth, man. That's it.
Yes.
Because the biggest damage that we can leave on this earth is potential, untapped potential. And where is it at? In the graveyard. It's in the graveyard. If Martin Luther King would have died before his time, he'd be hit. Malcolm X before his time, JFK before his time, Abraham Lincoln before his time. Untapped potential. I don't want to leave like that.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Charlie, we're going to come to you. You've been so quiet, y'all. I just want y'all to know, Charlie is not quiet. Charlie, I have to say, Charlie got stories. Charlie has been through some things, but I'm just going to pick on Charlie before we wrap this thing up, because Charlie, I want you to tell us, you know, with everything you've been through, you know, what was that changing point with you that you say, you know what, I just want something a little bit different. I'm gonna be a little bit vulnerable. I'm a, you know, try it out. Kind of talk to us a little bit what was going on with you mentally, that you said you've gone through what you've gone through, and you had that moment where you decided you wanted to kind of change some things and be a little bit more vulnerable.
Making better choices in life. I just have to make better choices for myself, and sometimes you can't make stupid, and you can't make nobody grown do anything. So you can't let other people's problems be yours. And once I start doing that, everything lined up right in order.
That's so true. We gotta stop taking on other people's problems, especially when we got our own problems. You gotta work out your own problems before you can be working out somebody else's problems. I'm a go to my husband. Hey, boo. There was a comment and I'm gonna direct this to Doug. There was a comment. Start clipping those dead ends, and I don't mean hair. From Rose there in the Facebook Live, and in talking about going with what Ish was saying about putting the right people around in your life. You know, what was that moment for you that you had decided that, you know, I gotta make sure I'm surrounding myself with the right people? What was it that made you say, you know what, I need a different environment. Where I came from or where I am is not working for me, and I need to start surrounding myself with more positive men. Talk to us about that a little bit.
It started a long time ago with me. It started when I was in college. It really did. When I was younger, I was doing some things that I shouldn't have been doing. A lot of people didn't even know it, but I knew what I was doing. But I was like, yeah, something's got to change. I said, yeah, I know you know, but I said, something's got to change. I said, I got to change my plan. And what helped me was a professor that I talked to. A professor told me, he said, you're not going to respect. He said, you're not going to respect what you're doing now. He said, but it's going to pay off later in time. He said, and what you're doing is, he said, I don't know really what you're doing. He said, but if you continue to doing what you're supposed to be doing, I promise you, it will show up later in time. And I never forgot what he said when he told it to me. I was like, okay, it's time for me to change. I said, I got to do something different. So, and I'm gonna end this in saying TCC. And what that means is trust, chance, change. You got to trust yourself. You got to take a chance on yourself. And you got to change the things that you know. I mean, everybody knows the difference between right and wrong. And sometimes even some of those things that you may think is right, and people have been telling you is wrong, just open up your mind and listen. And then when you start listening and understanding within yourself, and you start seeing different things surrounding you that's going to change, and you start seeing those changes, you'll know, hey, I'm taking better choices. Taking better choices.
Oh, thank you. So any closing thoughts? We've approached the 9 o'clock hour. Any closing thoughts from any of you before I say?
Well, I'll say this, B. We're gonna go biblical. When Mary and Martha told Jesus about their brother Lazarus being dead, what's the first thing Jesus did? Jesus wept. So men should cry. It's okay to cry, because even the songs say, weeping may endure through the night, but man, there's some joy that's gonna come in the morning. So I say men should cry, and they should be allowed to cry, and shouldn't be told that they punks and other stuff if they cry, and just have a good team around them that after they dry their tears, let's go to work now. So I thank you for having me on the panel. I think it's wonderful.
You're welcome. I thank you for being on the panel. And I just want to add to that, because I think that is so good. That is one of the things that I do teach in my class, as there is a process to healing. And then part of that process is a reprieve. Everyone needs a reprieve of the pain. And one of those reprieves is to cry. We try to hold things in, we try to be strong, and pretend like it's not hurting when it is. And sometimes it's that good old cry, even if it's in the closet by yourself, just the boo-hooing, get it out. And then you'll feel it's just a relief. And then when you're done, okay, now what I need to do, let's
Right.
get to work. And it goes back to the accountability that Ish talked about. You got to have that accountability partner, someone who's going to lift you up, someone who's going to keep you on the path. So for all my listeners out there who's watching, who may be going through something, who may be hurting, give yourself a reprieve. It's okay, let it out. To my men, it's okay to cry. You're still strong Black men, and crying actually makes you stronger, believe it or not. Crying actually makes you stronger. It's just something getting that out, and then it's just so powerful when you're done crying, like, woof, all right, I'm ready to fight. So
Right.
let it out, so then you can be able to move forward. And so to all my people out there hurting, just don't stop, keep moving forward. The healing process is just that, a process. It's a journey, it's a lifelong journey. We just want to get to a point where we can handle the things of the past, and anything new coming to us is just not going to stop us. We're going to keep pushing through. But we got to push through together. We got to push through as a people. You need a community of people. And I think it's, and then we got to make sure as men, you have that community of people and that strong woman that's backing you as well. So I thank each and every one of you for being on this panel. I hope that you all out there that are watching got something from this. You're able to take something that was good for your soul and your emotions and your mental. We will continue to do this. I hope you join us next week. We have our singles chat reloaded, where we're talking about forever relationships. And even though it's singles chat reloaded, it's not just for singles. Okay, we're going to be talking about forever relationships, whether it's friendships, dating, courtship, or even marriage. When do you know it's time to go? So even if you're married, tune in. Single, tune in. Complicated relationships, tune in. When do you know it's ready to go? Okay, so let's keep this going. Like and share the video so more people can get the healing. And we thank you so much for joining us. I do have some resources that if you need someone to talk to, I am going to post it in the comment section of this on the Facebook, because I did not prepare properly to show it, so I apologize for that. But I will post it on Becoming a Beings page, and continue to tune in, follow us so you can get notifications of all our future sessions. And once again, I thank these awesome, beautiful men. Thanks Cephas, who had a birthday, so he had to leave early. So I appreciate his commitment to this as well. And I thank you all so much. I love you. God bless, and we shall chat again.